Fire Rescue Emergency Response. New York firefighters dodge booby traps as they fight a raging crack house fire.
We're getting the floor above. It's moving up. It's in the ducts.
Then, EMS responds when Galveston's Mardi Gras goes out of control.
Where you want Lifeline to land.
And Costa Mesa Fire responds when parents make a frantic call for help when their baby stops breathing. All on this episode of Fire Rescue Emergency Response. Rescue One is Manhattan's elite rescue company. In a city as big as New York, the sale of drugs is a large and prevalent occurrence, causing concern for all neighborhoods. Drugs are the trade in what are known as crack houses. It's the crack of dawn, and a crack house fire is burning out of control, threatening to spread to other apartment buildings on 3 sides. Rescue One is responding to a greater alarm structure fire at 9th Street and Avenue C on Manhattan's Lower East Side. A 6-story partially vacant building is consumed with fire. There are occupied apartment buildings on 3 sides of this fire. The fire is already spreading to those 3 exposures. Rescue One is being dispatched to search for anyone left behind or trapped in any of the buildings. They will also search for fire which may be hidden and spreading to adjacent apartment houses. The primary building is believed to be a dwelling for crack dealers and homeless people, and nobody knows how many occupants may be living inside or where they might be. Crack houses impose great danger to neighborhoods and firefighters. When they go up fast and in a big way.
It's scary.
Patty Brown is the officer in charge this morning.
Each one I go into, I don't want to go.
First and engine companies are stretching lines up the interior stairways of the buildings. The firefighters of the F.D.N.Y's elite rescue unit risk their lives as they search for those who may be trapped inside this burning crack house. Rescue One's George Crucier is already inside Exposure 2, where the fire has spread through an air shaft to a wall on the 2nd floor. Chief Rolfin of Battalion 9 is directing the firefight and search and rescue operations from the primary attack stairwell. In Exposure 2, George Crucier finds the source of fire in a wall on the 2nd floor.
I want this wall opened up on the interior all the way up. All the way up. Okay.
At Incident Command, color-coded magnets track each firefighter's movements.
Hey, George! We'll get the floor above. It's moving up. It's in the duct.
Ronnie Buca and Hank Millay go up to the 5th floor where another fire is burning. Firefighter Paul Hashhagen climbs to the fire floor.
The most cherished possession I have is a handwritten letter from the children of a man that I saved, and I'll keep that for the rest of my life.
As the sun comes up over New York, Incident Command lists the fires as under control. For all of the firefighters, the threat is not over yet as they are still on the roof ventilating the fire. As they cut holes in the roof, the smoke causes an immediate and total blackout. The roof is weakening, and the men are ordered to come down due to the threat of it collapsing.
Patty, I want you and ladder 4 get together. I want a secondary on the fire floor.
10-4.
All of Rescue One's searches for fire and victims have come up negative. Less than 2 hours after these fires started, the F.D.N.Y. has won the firefight.
Well, the job of a firefighter has its moments of terror and of reward.
It's sort of like for a higher motive, a higher feeling of life.
I can't think of any better occupation than that of a firefighter. It's an honorable job. You get to help people.
Still ahead on Fire Rescue Emergency Response, medics from Costa Mesa, California respond when an infant stops breathing. But up next, the party's over when Galveston's Mardi Gras turns to tragedy. EMS responds.
Both people $60. It doesn't look real good.
Some 59,000 people live on the island of Galveston, Texas, and once a year during Mardi Gras, this number climbs to almost 300,000. Every year, Mardi Gras parties bring fun, music, laughter, and danger. When the sun goes down, the sirens come out and the Galveston E.M.S. goes to work.
It's a rollover accident. Might have hit a telephone pole. The police officer on location is saying that the patient is bleeding heavily from one side of his neck. That's why the helicopter's being launched. He could have some significant vessels that are cut.
Paramedic Sharon Atwell of Galveston's E.M.S. is responding to a traffic collision rollover on a 2-lane highway.
Where you want Life Flight to land?
I was just looking, probably back here by...
Sharon has been a paramedic with Galveston for 14 years.
So the road can be blocked off.
You know where you are?
Not even close.
What city you're in?
Near Galveston, I think.
Okay.
Paramedics Levon Vartanian and Don Wade were the first to arrive on scene. They're assessing the patient's condition.
Let's try.
Okay. Got a good radio, no loss of consciousness.
Right here, so most pain, right there.
Just pain right there?
Most pain right here.
Okay.
We'll put this on.
He's gonna put some oxygen on you, okay?
All right, thank you.
Make you feel a little better.
I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm really glad you're here.
How's your back? Does your back hurt? Talk to me.
It's okay. It's okay.
No pain down here where I'm touching?
No,
Okay.
it's fine.
How much drinking?
Not nearly as much drinking as you might think. I was actually trying to find some friends who had been drinking.
Paramedics have been unable to stop the bleeding from the severe neck wound the man sustained during the crash. A medevac helicopter has arrived to transport the man to a nearby trauma center. Incredibly, none of the 3 passengers in the other car were injured.
You get his head, Don? Get his head.
I'm going to hold your head. You just let us move. You lay on back. That's good. You're doing good.
Okay, got him?
We're going to slide you out on this board.
I got it.
He's got glass on his feet. Watch your hands.
The helicopter is preparing to land on the highway. The power lines on either side of this narrow stretch of highway make landing and taking off very dangerous.
Basically, it was just in a rollover, car accident, a lot of alcohol on board, and we got him in the car. He was trapped in, and we just extricated him out. I understand he had a neck wound.
Guy's got a neck wound. I haven't seen it. They said they had the bleeding control. That's kind of back behind his ear on the back of his head.
Ready, Dave?
When you're ready, Dave.
Okay.
Ready?
1,
2,
3.
Their patient will now be taken to the University of Texas Medical Branch. In this case, the man was quite lucky. After a brief stay at the hospital, he was later released and made a full recovery.
Time to get to the trauma center by air is about 8 minutes from here. And due to the seriousness of the accident and the amount of vehicular damage, he possibly has several injuries. And the amount of alcohol on board, some of the pain and such may be masked, so it's difficult for us to tell the true level of his problem. He was conscious, did seem to be somewhat oriented.
And he had some blood from his neck, so our main concern was just stopping the bleeding and make sure his vitals were okay, and transport him as quickly as possible.
In most cities, late night is when most violent crimes happen. In Galveston, especially during wild nights like Mardi Gras, this is especially true. Galveston E.M.S. is now en route to a call for help. A woman's body has been found along a dark and deserted roadside, and it appears she is the victim of gunshots. This time, Sharon Atwell, Jason Lang, and Steve Sheffield are responding.
Okay, y'all go. I'm going to put a stretcher at the board. Trauma code, eh, Jason?
Yeah.
You're in the truck. Do everything in the truck. You can start ventilating them.
While Sharon goes to get a board and stretcher from the ambulance, Jason and Steve attempt to establish an airway so they can ventilate their patient, whose condition is extremely critical. The woman has no pulse, and she is not breathing.
Tubes in.
The medics work to revive her with CPR.
Yes.
Okay, let's get her on the board. Secure the tube and get it on the board.
As soon as we get her rolled over, hit that airway kit.
The paramedics know nothing about who this woman is or about why she was shot. The actual time these medics were on scene was only 6 minutes. The faster they get their patient to the emergency room, the greater her chances are for survival.
Okay.
Did you see any other shots?
No.
One gunshot to the left ear, no exit wound. Both pupils fixed and dilated. Doesn't look real good. But we're about 30 seconds out from the ER. But right now, she got nothing, no vitals whatsoever.
Despite Sharon, Jason, and Steve's efforts, they were never able to revive this woman.
We got the call. It was about 2 in the morning, and the call came in over the phone. There was a shooting victim. She had 4 gunshot wounds is what we found initially. And basically, when I get in that situation, what I like to do is to get a little bit done as I can on the scene, and then really get moving to the hospital and try to get the IVs done en route. From the time we got the call till the time we rolled into the trauma center was 13 minutes, which is good.
You just realize how fragile life is.
Up next on Fire Rescue Emergency Response, Costa Mesa Fire responds to a parent's frantic call for help.
What we're responding on is a 2-month-old difficulty breathing automatic aid with Newport Beach. They've just upgraded the ambulance to code 3.
2-week-old preemie Madison Billard stopped breathing while her parents Sean and Julie were visiting from Arizona at a friend's house in Newport Beach, California. Sean called 911 for help. Captain Keith Fujimoto, along with firefighter Greg Stewart and trainee Brad Fike from the Costa Mesa Fire Department, are responding into Newport Beach on a mutual aid medical call. Keith has been with the Costa Mesa Fire Department for 20 years.
Hi, Don, what happened? She just threw up and it was really salivy and it was stuck in there. We sucked it all out of her mouth, her nose. We've been sucking it out. Yeah.
Okay, she's 2 weeks old.
Yeah.
Now, were you giving her some formula or were we
No, breastfeed nursed her. She just nursed her.
You just nursed her?
Yeah.
Okay, and this is, what meal? First meal of the evening?
No.
We're coughing pretty
She eats
good.
every 3 hours.
Okay, well, how did she seem to be? Why don't we sit down for a second and maybe I could listen.
Okay, good. It just seems
Greg, you want
that
to
she
hear it?
can't breathe through her nose.
My little boy, same thing happened when we were doing that. And it gets a little scary.
It gets really
It gets a little scary. Okay, can I just see you, baby, for a second? Baby's gonna be all right. 2 weeks. Little girl?
Yeah.
Oh. Did we get a big mouthful? And
No,
just
she
start
did
coughing?
normal fine feeding, and it was afterwards that she had burped her normal burping, and then this is the first time she's ever even really thrown up.
When you burped her, did you have her over your shoulder?
Yeah, over her
And then
shoulder.
that's when you started hearing her doing a lot of this?
No, we were getting ready to put her in a car seat.
Holding her like this, and she threw up,
We went to clean
and I
up and it was
turned her
really...
up.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you go ahead and turn the baby just like you're going to go for burping, and then I want to listen to the lungs a little bit, okay? So you'll turn the baby around and put her right to your shoulder.
That'd be affirmative.
It's a preemie, huh? How many
1 month.
One
She was
month.
36 weeks at delivery.
So tiny. Okay, now I can hear your hand really good right now. It's like, wow, that's really hurting my ears. Okay. She's going, that's cold. It's got a little bit of congestion, but nothing too bad. Okay, well, let me tell you what the best thing that I can hear right now is that the baby has a little bit of, sounds like upper airway congestion right now, like some maybe a little bit of phlegm. Naturally, if it was my child, I'd be just as worried as sure you are right now, but you have a couple of options. We have an ambulance here if you like. We can have the baby taken down and be seen by a physician, a doctor at the emergency room. Or if you think that the baby is looking okay to you, because you know your baby a lot better than we do.
She's got her color back, that's for sure.
And if you think it, I think she might have had a little congestion and a little phlegm and stuff caught up with some of the breast milk.
And building up after a while, because she's never puked before, I mean.
Yeah, and hey,
that's the first time.
I can't begin to tell you the amount of times that of course, I got a little bit too aggressive with my boy. I'm sitting there slamming away on his back like that, and then he'd puke all over my shoulder, And so, and it may be one of those things where she just got a little bit of that up there. So it's up to you. 2 ways to go, and I'll leave it up to you.
Can you guys stay for a few minutes until I know she's okay?
Well, sure, we could do that too.
She's doing better, but she's not 100%.
Yeah, but if you'll notice that she feels a lot, but you'll notice that she's breathing a little bit better if you'll keep her in that position like that. And because of that yellow color, it could be that she's got some kind of a little airway infection going, upper airway infection, because the phlegm shouldn't be all that yellow, to be honest with you. I think it'd be a good idea, especially coming from Arizona and coming to here. It's a lot more damp here, a lot cooler, and a lot more humidity.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we would have made sure she got air in there. But I knew she was getting it through her mouth, but not her nose.
Yeah. Well.
And as you know, they try the nose.
In school, they always taught us a noisy airway is an obstructed airway. So.
Yeah.
And anytime you have the unknown with a little premature baby like that. Yeah, she's so tiny. Bottom line, at least, it's always better to be safe than sorry. I go ahead and tell them, and I try to convince them and gently steer them to get to the hospital and be seen by a physician. And then that way everybody feels good. The baby's better, the parents feel better, and then naturally I feel better, a lot better about it, because that way I don't have to worry that we're going to end up having to come back on a baby that has a real medical problem. But right now I think it was just a simple thing of choking on saliva plus feeding on a mother's breast milk. That's pretty much about it. Pretty simple run.